be forewarned, I set my alarm for an hour because I got to put more change in the meter.
Dude, you're good. You're good. So
All right,
like,
cool.
it'll probably be like 30 minutes, 45
All right,
minutes. It's not even going to
I
be
just
too
wanna make
crazy.
sure.
So the goal with this podcast is I want to show. Okay, so like first and foremost, like, is this the lending? Is this your company or is it you work
So I work for a bank.
a bank? Okay.
Yeah, I work for Absolute Home Mortgage.
Okay.
Been lending for a little while now, but I do it all. I try to do a little bit of commercial, a little bit of hard money. Obviously, residential is my bread and butter, but I try to. I always wanted to be like, you know, when people go like, I know a guy.
Yeah.
I want to introduce you to my guy.
You're that guy.
I want to be the guy.
Yeah.
So that's kind of how that kind of came about. The market started changing, and I kind of wanted to make sure I didn't go hungry. So I kind of figured a way to, you know, utilize my relationships and kind of capitalize on those.
I mean, that's what it is, right? Your net worth is your network, right?
Absolutely.
So,
You know, and I know Kanye is not the biggest or most loved person in the world right now, but he used to say, he said before, you know, if you don't have a use, you're useless.
yeah.
And I kind of always stood by that. Like, I've always wanted to give more value to whomever it was that I was either working with or just had the opportunity to be around.
I love that. Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, that's what it is. It's like if you're not bringing something to the table, why are you eating?
Absolutely.
You know what I mean?
Absolutely. There's no eating at the table if you are not bringing something to it. And that's why everyone in my circle is very much well thought out, you know, and picked out for a specific reason because, you know, I add something to them, they add something to me, and vice versa, right? Iron sharpens iron.
So I love origin stories. So like, is it Kyle or is it Kyle Anthony?
So my name is Kyle Anthony Malcolm. Kyle.
You got
Anthony.
3 first names,
Yeah.
bro? What?
Yeah, it's wild. Funny enough, I got out of a speeding ticket that way.
Because of that?
Because of that.
That's
the
wild.
judge was like,
He was like, I
"You
know
have
you
th-
lying, bro.
Dude, the judge was like, you got 3 first names? I was like, yeah. He was like, me too. I don't worry about it. And just wrote it off. I was like, this is great.
That's wild, bro.
Yeah. But back in college, I actually had my full name, right? Kyle Malcolm. And at the time, I was looking for jobs, and they were like telling people, like, hey, if you have anything on your Instagram or social media, be careful because jobs are looking up people's social media.
Yeah, I remember that.
And so instead of putting my last name, I put my middle name, and I just left it, and it's just stuck. So now when I meet people especially in the industry, they'll be like, "You're Kyle Anthony."
Yeah.
And I'm like,
it's just
yes, but no, but yeah, I'll take it.
Kyle, dude. I mean, what do you prefer to be called? So just Kyle?
Kyle.
Kyle's a lot shorter too, so it's easy.
Absolutely.
All right, cool. So Kyle, I love origin stories. I love because the point of this whole podcast is for the people that don't know where to start. They're like, you know, maybe they just got out of school or like they're like living in their mom's basement.
Sure.
You know what I mean? And they're just like, damn, I'm hungry, but like I don't even know where to start. So like my goal with this is to interview people like you that are fully successful in whatever it is that they're doing.
Appreciate that.
And just show people how to get started in it, right?
Absolutely.
And then at the end of the day is like I would love to be able to present them with actionable steps.
Okay.
To move forward with that, right?
That's fair.
So let's start with your origin story. Like, how did you come up? Give me the rags to riches part, but I want to hear the rags.
Like, how did I get into the industry?
Yeah, or like, were you ever in a point in time where you were like, dude, I don't even know what to do with my life, bro? Like,
Oh, absolutely.
and then how did you transition that to this?
Okay. So in college, I was graduating college, and life is hitting, right? You know, life is lifing, and I'm starting to look around, and I'm like, damn, like there's no jobs out there, and I had gone on 45 job interviews, and no one was calling me back. And I mean, you know, I'm aggressive. I'm like calling people, like, hey, just following up, the whole 9, nothing, not finding anything, and I was a television major, a videography major with a background in sales and marketing. So I'm looking for, you know, videography jobs and I'm doing freelance on the side, weddings, this, that, just try and, you know, make ends meet. So I graduate and I'm like, crap, I can't find anything. And so I found a job at a car dealership. I'm just selling cars. I was like, well, I'll try to capitalize on, I guess, honing my skills when it comes to sales, because there will always be a sales job no matter where you go. And the most rudimentary job in my mind was selling cars. Everyone needs a car. And so I started doing that, and I started hustling. And there was a day when I first started, and I mean, I was what, 21, 22, and literally my phone turned off because I didn't have it. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
and so like they're calling me over on the loudspeaker because a client was trying to call me on my cell phone, and my cell phone was off.
Ooh.
Yeah. And so that's when I realized, like, I was like, nah, like this ain't it. Like I gotta do something. I gotta do something. And so my mindset after that was always, what's the next right move? And what's the next right opportunity for me? Because not every opportunity is for you, right? And so when I realized that, I was constantly just looking and looking and looking for it. And it had been years. I'd been working at a dealership for at least 4 or 5 years, honing my skills on, really communicating effectively. Because I feel like a lot of people, especially in the world, don't.
I would love to dissect that because I'm huge in communication. Obviously, video is like a visual communication, right? Can you give me like top three or like your top lessons learned in communication that are actionable that people can like take with them?
Absolutely. So the number one rule that I realized was, people don't hear you, they hear themselves how they want to be heard. So what I mean by that is, you might put out a message, right? And just because you put out a message doesn't mean it was received in the same fashion that you put it out.
People hear what they want to hear.
Exactly.
Got it.
So I could say, hey, the sky is blue, and you could be like, nah, he really means like turquoise.
True. Yeah.
You know what I mean?
He just said blue because it's
He
easier.
just said blue because it's easier.
Yeah.
But people listen how they want to listen, right?
True.
So that being said, it's kind of like, I could say anything to you till I'm blue in the face. It does not mean you're receiving my message. I have to speak your language for you to receive my message.
What does that mean?
Meaning, I have to know you as a person. I have to be able to read you as a person as I'm talking to and communicating to you. And it's obviously difficult when I don't know you, but asking for the right questions will allow me to know who you are and kind of how your lay of the land is in the world.
How many groups of people would you categorize the majority of people that you interacted with? Like you're like, oh, this is one of those guys, or oh, that's one of those ladies.
So the problem is, I was in network marketing in college. I've always been one of those people that always had 2 and 3 jobs, was always hustling, right? And I did a personality test where you have 4 traits. One person's very astute, they're very detail oriented. One's more in touch with their feelings. One is very much about fun and having a great time, and the last one is very aggressive, win by all costs. And when I went through that, I took it with me that I'm not learning those traits, and everyone has those traits. I'm not learning those traits for me. I'm learning those traits for other people and how I can communicate with them with those traits that they have more effectively. And so I would put those people, certain people, into those categories.
Those 4 categories
Of how to speak to them.
So astute, which is just like book smart, I would say.
So they're very, very detail oriented. They like things in a row. They're very much methodical in how they do
OCD,
things.
kind of.
Very much OCD.
Okay,
And
then
like I said, we all have them, all 4 of these traits, or characteristics. But usually people are usually 1 or 2 majorly. So when that's the case, I will appeal to those characteristics.
Okay, so it's what was a good word? Because I don't want to say OCD.
Oh, it's more methodical
Astute.
and astute.
Okay, so astute.
Yep.
Emotional.
Yep.
What are the other 2?
Really like fun havers, people that are just bouncing off the walls, that just love to have fun, like
Living in the moment.
Exactly. FOMO is a real thing. Like if you call them, they're like, "Hey, I'm going out." They're like, "Where?" Like, I want to go too.
And what was the last one?
Very aggressive. So
Aggressive.
People that are very
like mean.
Not aggressively mean, but like they're just very much strong-willed and
Strong-willed. Okay.
Yeah. So meaning like they are very much win at all costs. If it's not about winning, or they don't want anything to do with it. Very much flashy. They are very much about power moves. Those type of people.
Got it. Okay.
And I've been each one of those people in different parts of my life. But as you speak to people and ask them the right questions, you can kind of figure out where their mindset is. And then once I figured out what their mindset was, I could kind of curtail my message towards whatever their mental state really was.
What is I love words, but I don't know a lot of words. What does curtail mean?
Like I'm going to specifically engineer my message
Got
so
it.
that you can hear it and understand it
Custom made.
exactly,
Okay.
just for you, so that you get it the way that I mean for it to be received.
Got it.
Right?
Okay.
So, I mean, knowing that, and I brought that into business with me, I kind of said, all right, let me utilize that in all my tools that I've learned thus far to help me in sales, right? So fast forward, I'd been in the dealership for 4 or 5 years. I leave that dealership to go to another one. I started working at BMW at the time, and I was miserable. I mean, I'm working 70 plus hours a week in a box.
Jeez.
And I mean, like they're micromanaging me. Like I gotta be there. You gotta, I don't have time off. I can't see my girlfriend at the time. Like, it's rough. It's real rough. And my best friend, who George Castellans, said to me, he's like, dude, not for nothing. Like, you're kind of like wasting your talent. And that hit me like a ton of bricks.
But that's love, though,
It's
coming
love.
from a friend.
Absolutely, it's
Yeah.
love. And he was like, dude, you're kind of wasting your talent because you're miserable, but you got something. Like you are a personable person. Like you have something here. And for whatever it is, whatever you're doing, just isn't working for you, dude. And I didn't realize how unhappy I was actually portraying myself, like outside of work. Like how unhappy I actually was outside of work, and how much work was affecting my mental state. And so he was like, dude, why don't you, I was at odds with the dealership at the time. And he was like, dude, why don't you, start doing real estate? He was like, you like numbers, you're doing numbers now, you're in finance. Why don't you become a lender? I'll do the real estate portion of it, and we'll tag team. And he was like, obviously you'll grow and do your own thing, but he was like, I feel like that'd be really great for you, because then you're not stuck in a box. You can go out and actually meet people and actually make a difference. And when he said that, that's when it hit me. I was like, I'm just kind of like putting metal on the road. Like, yeah, people are happy when they get a car, but like, I'm not really necessarily changing people's lives for the greater good. And so when I quit the dealership cold turkey, left. As I left, I started taking the class online. This is 2019, 2018. Quit cold turkey. I take the online lenders course, taught myself. I didn't go in person, just did it, pass on the first time. Funny story actually is, and George has said to me right before I took the test, because he knows that I'm a competitive person, friendly competitive. He kind of goes, he's like, dude, idiots pass this test all the time. The reason why he said that was he knew that the chances if I had failed it, the chances of me passing it the second time were even worse. Okay? So it was a greater chance of me failing it even the second time, even more than the first time, because I'm so much further out from the information. So when he said that, I was like, oh no, I have to pass. I have to pass. I went and passed it my first day and was running from there, from there on. So that was kind of like my story to how I got into the industry. But when the industry really started clicking for me was more so when I realized what I was actually doing. Most people just think that, like, yeah, I'm pushing paper, right? I'm having you sign these docs, and that means you get a house. But what I'm really doing is I'm changing neighborhoods. I'm changing cities. I'm changing the landscape of different towns. I'm affecting change on commerce in different areas. Like, I'm allowing business owners to open businesses. I'm allowing new homeowners that have never owned a home to own a home. I've made real solid friendships and relationships from previous clients because they said, dude, it was always my life's goal to own a home for my family and my kids, and you helped me do that. That's when I was like, oh,
That's awesome.
this is different. This is not just I'm doing this for a buck or I'm doing this because it's easy. I was really affecting real change. And that's kind of what stuck with me.
That's cool. Okay, so there's a lot to dissect.
Sorry.
And all that. No, it's great. I love it because now, like, we understand where your mindset was originally, straight out of school, doing the dealership for a while,
Yep.
and then kind of like realizing that like, oh, I need purpose in my life, and
Yep.
I need a job that reflects that need.
And I couldn't vocalize it at the time. I had no idea how to vocalize those specific wants, and
Because clarity is not that clear.
no,
Yeah.
by no means. Like looking back, it makes sense, but like at the time, I was like lost.
Yeah.
Like, and George would tell you, he was like, "Dude, you were lost. Like you were unhappy, lost, didn't know which way was up. You were making decent money, but like there's more to life than just that, right? You have to be able to. It's not about the money that you make; it's how you make it, and how you keep it. So when he kind of put me into the real estate world, or put the bug into my ear to get into the real estate world, I kind of dove head in, held nothing back.
I like that. Okay, so I kind of want to tie this back to someone's like, okay, they don't know up from down.
So in that sentiment of not knowing where I was at and being lost, I can absolutely understand people with their fresh out of college or fresh out of high school and not knowing what the hell is going on in the world. The one thing that I will always be thankful for is I always had a mentor, whether that person knew they were my mentor or not. But I always knew success left clues. And so I needed to follow successful people if that's what I wanted, whether it was, and there's different varying degrees of success. And money is just one aspect of it, but like, do you have the time for your family? That's success to me.
It's huge.
Absolutely. Do you have peace of mind in what you do? That's success to me. Yeah. Because if you can't go home and sleep at night, what's the point? Obviously, do you have the things in your life that you want to have? But, if I don't have the time for my family, then what is it all for? You know what I mean? So I absolutely understand that sentiment of being lost and trying to figure out my way. And, it wasn't easy, but I'll be honest with you, like joining the industry and really being a student of the industry, because a lot of people just join and they think they know instantly what's going on. It takes time. No one knows exactly the industry that they're in, be honest with you, in the first 3-4 years. In my opinion, the first 3-4 years, you're still figuring it out. And some people have massive success in the first 3-4 years of business, and they kind of, beat that curve. But that's very few and far between.
I wanna touch back on because it's important, right? Like, okay, so it's not that hard to get in, right? You just take the test.
Oh yeah. Well, depending on what you're going for, right? So if you're a realtor, you take the test. You go to school. You take the test, the school test, and then you take the state test. Same thing for lenders. You go to school either online or in person. You take the school test and then you take the state test. Obviously, when you're a lender, it's a little bit more difficult.
How'd you find the right bank to work with? Like,
So the first time around when I was obviously just joining into the industry, I went off of word of mouth. I literally asked friends, I asked George, I asked a couple other people, where I should be, and I went out and I just met people, and I would just go out and feel the vibe. Was this a place that I could hang my hat and I could actually put my name behind? Because that's the difference, right? As a lot of people just will sell anything to anybody, but it's not real if you can't put your name behind it, right?
it's like having principles.
Actually, exactly. So in saying that, I kind of went out there and tested and put my toe in the water and tested the market a little bit. Took the temperature of the market of different banks that were out there. Now, obviously, so the first bank that I joined, very, very grateful for them because I learned so much, both things to do and not to do. But I absolutely learned a lot. And that's the one thing I will say is do not get into this industry if you're not looking to grow and learn. It's not for you. Once I knew that I needed more and I went on to where I'm at now is the second lending institution that I'm at, which is Absolute Home Mortgage. I knew where I felt most comfortable. And I very much am lucky and very much am blessed where I found the right place for me. Yeah.
That's cool.
But to your point, I'm sorry to stop you. It's very easy to get into certain parts of real estate. Certain parts of real estate, you don't have to have a college degree. You don't have to have any prerequisites to get into this field. You just got to pass the test. And some people are really good test takers, and then they get into the industry, and the class and the test don't necessarily build you to be a good either loan officer or real estate agent. It just builds you to gain some knowledge that allows you to get into the industry. That is it. To actually be a good real estate agent or loan officer, it takes a lot more tutelage and learning than you're going to need to do.
And that you're learning at home, like you're studying, or is that something that you just learn from experience on the job?
You're learning on the job. Like, you want to know what the best teacher is, it's failure.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right. And so when you fail time and time again, you learn really, really quickly.
Well,
like,
that's the hope.
Exactly. I shouldn't say this. I shouldn't do this. That's not what this means. Like, and you really start to really do your research of, well, how do I structure a loan? How do I structure this deal? This client is wanting X, Y, Z. How does this fit into what the programs are, right? And so knowing and messing up and learning the hard way, and then having the right people to guide me along the way, right? So I have people that I don't even work with still.
Sorry.
No, you're good. I have people that I don't even work with still that I will call, even in this stage in my career, where I'll be like, hey, I've never seen this before. What do you think? And they'll give me their opinion on it. I will always say I'm only as good as my team. And I've been very blessed and lucky to say that I've met some wonderful individuals that will take my phone call any time of day or night, even though I'm sure I'm annoying the crap out of them.
I like that because that kind of it segues nicely into you said you had a marketing degree, right?
So I have a degree in videography and sales and marketing.
Sales and marketing. How have you used that to essentially just market yourself in the industry or market the bank, the company?
So the first thing that I learned, especially about being in this industry, is the people aren't buying the company that you work for. They're buying you, okay? And so that being the case, I knew I had to market myself more so than marketing the bank or the realtor brokerage that I was working at, right? Yes, people want to know the name and the place that you work at and that it's a reputable place. And yes, that's important. But it's more important is that they buy you. And so I was very strategic about the marketing and the visuals that I put out about me. So, for example, and I got this from George, I would go to every single one of my closings, and I still do. I go to every single one of my closings. That's a purchase for sure. And I will show up and I'll make sure I have a gift and I will make sure that I have a photo op as long as it's okay with the client. Because I want to make sure that people are seeing me in the market and I'm marketing myself as, I'm closing, but I'm closing and I help this client this way, right? Always just being grateful that I had the opportunity to help people. And just be honest with you, knowing my brand and knowing who I am. And knowing my brand, I didn't go out and start drinking and post it all over my Instagram and social media. I, very much had a archetype of how I wanted to look on platforms, whether it be social media or Google. I'd market my reviews, you know what I mean? So it really came down to me knowing what I wanted to be viewed as and appear as. And I kind of knew that from my background, but I also saw what was in the market currently. And I'll be honest with you, real estate is the most unprofessional, professional industry that you will ever be in. Because like I said before, there are no prerequisites to get into it besides taking the class and the test. So there is no baseline of you have to be this professional while you're in the industry. And you'll see a lot of people who just do it for part-time, and that's okay. That's completely okay. Because there's a lot of people out there that do it part-time and are great at it. But there's a lot of people that don't really practice their craft, and they kind of get handheld to a certain point, and then they just get let go. And when that happens, they don't really know what they're doing. And if you don't really know what you're doing, you can really cost a lot of people a lot of money and a lot of heartache.
Uh, I want to talk about brand because like that's
Sure.
essentially what we do a lot. You
Sure.
know, is like understanding people's brand, dissecting them as people, to then pull things out and then be like, hey, look, these are structural pillars to
Sure.
your brand. How did you gain clarity on your brand? I mean, obviously it's one thing as like, I want to be professional. I don't want to be posting shotgunning a
Yeah.
beer
Yeah.
or like keg stands. Like obviously that's
Yep.
not the best look, but like how did you navigate, like what type of professional like are you, like how did you navigate that?
Got it. So navigating that was a little bit more easy for me because I had been in that space of doing freelancing, doing shooting, video shoots or photo shoots. And so I kind of knew I wanted a brand where I didn't look like everybody else. Yes, I do the same thing that a lot of people do, but I wanted to be recognizable, right? And in my branding, I wanted to be very clean cut. I wanted to make sure that it was very simple, very direct. I wanted to do things that were a little bit different. So when I posted certain things, when I post now, I have a small caricature that I post that is a symbol of just me, right? So a lot of people, when they look at my social media, they don't know what I do. They don't know that I'm a lender. They just think that either I'm a real estate agent, I'm an investor, because I'm currently at flips a lot. And so they'll ask me, and that is for me the greatest compliment, is because I'm not just a lender. Like I didn't want to be put into a box. I wanted to be a student of real estate. And so when I would I would really do some video shoots for different properties that I was at, because not for nothing, lending's not sexy. There's nothing sexy about mortgages. No one wants to talk about a mortgage at 7 o'clock in the morning. They just don't. And
Yeah.
I work in mortgages, and I don't. However, it's a necessity, right? And so how do we make the necessity sexy? We tie it with the thing that is sexy, right?
Which is the beautiful luxurious house.
And the process. People love the process.
Yeah.
And so I knew that from watching HGTV. So why don't I do portions of that, right? And I'm sure people are doing the same thing to a certain degree, but what I noticed was a lot of people were focusing on things that everyone else was doing. Like, for example, everyone else in the market was like, "Well, tour this house," and that works absolutely. But how does that tie to what you're doing, right? Specifically, how does that tie to a certain demographic that you're trying to reach? And I knew that I was trying to reach people around my age demographic, 30 to, let's say, 45 and up, that were either looking to move from New York to New Jersey, or looking to move from North Jersey to South Jersey. And we saw a lot of movement especially in COVID, of those people, and we kind of capitalized on that. So we would do, webinars online to teach people, and that kind of, when I realized that I needed to teach people about how to buy, why to buy, the best way to buy, what to expect when buying, because there's no class on this, like in the real world, right? Outside of the industry, there are no classes on how to buy a house. They teach you how to balance a checkbook. I maybe used that 3 times.
I like bigger pockets. I feel like that's the main.
Yes. So now,
Yeah,
in
now.
this world now, that
Technology and
we
internet.
have podcasts and stuff like that people can go and watch. But what, 5 years ago, that wasn't a thing.
Yeah, or really small. Like,
Yeah.
yeah.
It was a very, very small market, and people weren't looking for that. And even still, some of the stuff that you see online is half truths and whole lies.
Yeah.
So like a lot of it's just marketing, that they're trying to get you a soundbite to try and hook you in, right? And try to get you to do their class or buy their book, and there's no hate in the game. Like, I respect everyone's hustle. But I knew that I didn't want to do that. I wanted to give people real information on the granular level of how to buy a house, what it'll cost, what to expect, and just teaching little nuances of how to figure out what house is the right house for them.
So you make content that's educational. How often do you post?
I try to post, be honest with you, 3 to 4 times a week, like some type of picture or video of something that I'm currently doing, so that people feel engaged, or they feel like they're a part of the journey. or but I'll post little quotes. That's my thing, is just positivity quotes, where I feel like I'm my best self when I'm being positive, right? And I'm giving that pushing that out into the world. And I've gotten a lot of good feedback from it, and a lot of people will follow me and repost my stuff in the industry, and I love it. But what I realized was, as I was posting, I didn't want to be like everyone else in the industry, right? So if we all go to the same party, everybody has a million videos of the same party. No one wants to see the same party a million times, right? So I would post, closings. I'd post when I was with certain individuals in the industry that, to me, made a difference, and really gave me insight. Those type of things that I felt gave more value is what I was focusing on posting.
I have a question because like how you worded that makes me think, because like this is something that we always
Sure.
love doing as video and stuff. So like I think about this topic a lot.
Sure.
But it's essentially, so like let's just say we're both at the same event. Instead of you posting a video of the event and me posting a video of the event and then just bombarding the market with like the same content, what I've noticed, and correct me if I'm wrong or if you've ever done it before, but let's just say we are at the same event,
Sure.
right? And we're obviously in two different like niches in the same industry. But like if you were to create a video where it's like, hey, I'm here helping out Mike with a loan, he needed this much and whatever, but like it's pointing out it's in the same event, but it's your perspective, and because it's a personal touch, that's someone that can connect to.
Yep.
Sorry, they can relate to it, and they can see my content from the same event, and I'd be like, hey, I'm just shooting the event, and we got Kyle here, and he's just dropping some amazing knowledge and stuff. And so like we're still creating content of the same event, but we're now personalizing it. So instead of just showing out,
Yep.
we're showing in, we're
Yep.
showing ourselves in it. And I think that's what makes it different.
Yep.
Is that something that you've ever done before, or agree with, disagree with?
So I absolutely agree with it. I absolutely think that if you look at any content creator that's out there, right? And I've done my research on content creation, every one of them is very genuine, in specific to them and their brand, right? They're not trying to be anybody else, because the moment that the audience or the general public feels that, they're out.
Have you noticed people copy someone else and it's literally like exactly the same and there's no originality in
Absolutely.
in the industry?
Absolutely.
Oh man.
Yeah, if you see any, of these TikTok trends, they all do the same exact thing. And I understand, like, you're trying to drive content and you're trying to, but there are other ways to make it more personable. And yeah, some of them are fun, some of them are cool, but how many TikTok dancing videos or reaction videos can you get to, showing a house or making people look at you? There are more creative ways to do it. But I feel like because people see something, they want to go, well, I want that same attention too. And so they'll match and mirror what those people are doing. And maybe it might work for them for a little bit of, a short stint of time. It's not going to work for them long term. Because people are looking for a little bit more depth when it comes for long-term viewership. They're looking to get either some type of information, some type of learning, some type of knowledge, or just feel that you're personable and not just trying to sell them a home. I've always said, in my transactions, my relationship with you does not end with the transaction. I'd gotten into this to do more than that. And I feel like a lot of people in the industry that are on social media are putting out content. They don't feel the same way. They're posting that content purely to get that transaction.
Dopamine hit.
Exactly, exactly. And don't get me wrong, I understand it, and I there's a place for it, but I just don't think it works long term, personally.
Yeah, it's like the brighter the flame, the quicker it goes out or something.
Yeah, there's a lot of fireworks that are out there and a lot of duds.
Yeah.
And no shade and no disrespect to anybody, but a lot of the things that people do don't get seen because of their circle of influence, right? Or you keep making the same videos for the same amount of people, and they keep watching it. You're not growing outside of your actual circle of influence. so no one else sees it but them.
When it comes to marketing yourself, is it solely focused on social media content and networking in real life, or is there any other things that you do?
No, there's plenty of other ways that we market as a whole, right? So we can do. Oh crap!
How are we looking on time?
Oh, we're good. We're good. I got like 10 minutes left.
Okay, perfect. So let's let's do like a holistic overview. Holistic. I don't think it's holistic. Is that the right? Am I using the right word? Am I using that right? Let's do a whole overview of what we did so far. So we got like, your come up story, and then when you're in the game, you're marketing, you're doing the social media, you're doing the events, you're doing the in-person meeting the client at the close, which is super cool.
Yep.
I don't know how many mortgage people are doing that, because I heard that like they're like, oh, they don't need me, so I'm just gonna stay behind my desk.
Yeah, and this is for all the mortgage people out there. Complete shade. You guys are lazy. A lot of people in the industry are very, very lazy, and what I mean by that is they don't go the extra mile. And it's simple things. I'll show up to some showings just to create that relationship with the client. Yeah, it's time consuming and it's arduous and difficult, but it's worth it. But to your point, and encompassing all of it, right? There's a lot of people out there that want more. They just don't know how to do it and get out in front of other people and market differently and think differently. And be honest with you, it came from having the right people around me, the right team around me going, that's just okay. You should really, and they'll be honest with me, you shouldn't do that. You should do this or try this. And I wasn't afraid to fail. I wasn't afraid to do something and fail, whether that be meeting for example, when I would meet clients or speak to clients, I would do a client buyer's presentation where I'd break down all the information in the beginning of the process that way they knew what to expect. Also, that meant that I was also being able to speak to them and interview them on their expectations before and after the entire process of purchasing.
Cool. I mean, and that's, I feel like that's something that's just like ingrained in you, right? Like just going that extra, seeing how lazy people are and just being like, nah, it's not going to be me. I'm not going to, like, I see the industry standard. I don't want to, match that essentially.
Absolutely. There's a lot of people out there that work hard and they're really hard workers and they do what I do, and they kick butt. And hats off to them, and hats off to anyone in the industry that is not a slouch, because it's very easy to do and it's very easy not to do. But when you're in the position that we're in, why wouldn't you go the whole way to help someone? Why wouldn't you go the whole way to help your family? Why wouldn't you go the whole way to be the best person that you could be? But a lot of people just take the easy way out and they'll just go, well, I don't got to do that today. I don't got to do open house.
True.
Meanwhile, I'm at an open house every weekend.
And it shows, like, you've gotten a return from that.
Absolutely. So I've gotten clients from open houses, but be honest with you, the best part about open houses, besides creating a deeper relationship with our referral partners, whoever the agent is that I'm working with that day, is I have my hand or my fingers on the pulse of the market. I'm seeing it in real time. I'm seeing what people are looking at. I'm seeing what people are wanting. I'm seeing what their price points are. I'm seeing what those conversations are amongst themselves look like, because I know what I want when I'm looking at a house, but I'm also jaded now, right? Because I know what the industry is like, and I know what to kind of look for. I know what inspections to look for, or things that are inspections that are important. Because of that jaded view, I want to make sure that I'm still in tune with the general public. Because if you fall deaf with that, then you're just shooting blindly, and there is no marketing. There is no knowing what the demographics are. There is no figuring out what's out there. It's luck. Yeah. And I didn't want to operate my business off of luck. I wanted to operate my business off of a real strategy of what does it look like in the market, how does that affect me in my business, and how do I affect change in that market.
Is there anything you guys have coming up in the near future that you want to, let people know about, or?
So there's a lot coming up. So in the foreseeable future, my team and I will be having a bunch of events over the next couple months. It's summertime, so everyone's gonna be outside.
Barbecues.
Absolutely. But there's going to be a lot of mixers and a lot of events. But more so, we want to make sure that people understand in the next upcoming events, we want to make sure that they understand that, yeah, we're looking to have fun, but we're also looking to grow your business, our business together, right? You have a real, true partner when you're coming to these events that you're looking to network in. Like, we're looking to do that. I'm part of a couple of different committees and boards that we're looking to grow in the industry that just affect more change, right? And I think we all need to get outside of our comfort zones a little bit, go out and network. It's a contact sport, meaning the more contacts you have, the better the sport. So let's go make it happen.
I love that. If someone's watching this and they're like, oh man, dude, I'm in North Jersey. I love this Kyle guy. I love his business. I love everything about it. How can they get in contact with you or Absolute?
So if you're interested in reaching out to me, I'll obviously supply my information. The
Shout it
download
out,
thing.
bro. What is it?
Kyle Anthony _ on Instagram.
We'll pop it up too, so that way it's easier.
I'll put up my phone number as well, email as well. But there's a bunch of different ways to reach out to me. Mike, I'm sure will plug me below.
Got you.
The whole nine. But there's a bunch of ways to reach out to me. Absolute as well. We have a bunch of different offices all over the state and Florida. I mean, we're all over the place. But you can find us if you throw a stone. I promise you that. I will absolutely be at the next MBA Mortgage Banker Association meeting. So if you are wanting to join the industry, you're more than welcome to come. Really affecting change in our legislature for our lending institutions is really important, and having our voices heard is really important.
So is there anything else you want to?
Oh, I just want to thank you for having me on.
Dude, of course, bro. Of course, you already
Appreciate
know. Yeah. But yeah, I think that's it.
There it is.
That's this cut.